Hello and welcome. I'm Kristen Grace McGarry, and I'm an integrative and holistic healthcare provider, licensed acupuncturist, certified in functional medicine, advanced craniosacral therapy, somato-emotional release, homeopathy, neural and perineural therapy, and many, many other holistic modalities that really work with both or all three, mind, body, and spirit. And today I wanted to introduce you to the 5 elements of Asian medicine, because I've been referring to them in my sequence of Facebook Live videos. And I'm really committed to inspiring and empowering you to upgrade your mind, body, and spirit, your health, and your life during this pandemic. That it doesn't need to be a time to sit on your couch and eat potato chips and watch Netflix. That I see this as an incredible opportunity to level up, to really upgrade your life, your body, the way you think, how you work with your emotions, your relationships, even if you're alone. And I'll do another Facebook Live on being alone in isolation, because there are some really important keys that I'd love to share with you that I found as I'm alone during this pandemic. But today, I'm going to focus on the 5 elements of Asian medicine. Now, why are these elements so important? Well, first of all, they're all around us in nature, and we also have them inside of us. And it really helps illuminate our profound connection to nature and the world around us. And in Asian medicine, we use these 5 elements to discern imbalances in the mind, body, and spirit. So what are these 5 elements? Do you have any guesses? Now, they're different. You can type in your guesses below. It's different. The 5-element system in Asian medicine is a little different than the Native American elements. There are 4 elements. And it's different than, say, the Indian elements as well. And they're all fantastic systems, and they're all valuable, and they actually mirror each other quite beautifully. They've all stood the test of time. They're very, very old. So what are they? What are the elements? Okay, let's start with fire. So the fire element, when you're connecting with fire in your body, or fire outside of your body, let's start there. When you build a fire, what are the qualities of that fire? It's warm. What else? It often brings people together. It can be charismatic. It can be big and bolsterous, or it can be simmering and small. It helps cook your food. So what are the other qualities of fire? It can burn you if you're not careful, if you don't honor it. So when you're connecting to the fire element, it's important to think about, how's fire in your life outside of your body? And then you can connect it to fire inside your body. Say a fever is a kind of fire inside your body. A true stomach ulcer can be from a kind of fire in your body. A migraine that's really, really painful and hot even feeling and causes nausea, that can be a kind of fire in your body. It could be a liver, yang rising, a liver fire. If you have an inflamed eye from, say, pink eye, and it's really, really red and it hurts, that can be a form of fire. If you have inflammation in your body, or redness or swelling in a joint, that can have a fire element to it. So fire is super important. Now, fire, in Asian medicine, all the elements have organs and meridians associated with them. The fire element is interesting because it has 4, where the other elements they all have 2. And so the fire element is associated to, can you guess any organs? Heart. The pericardium, which is the sac that your heart sits in, that's a protector. We call it the heart protector. The small intestine, and something called the sanjiao, your upper, middle, and lower jiao. In Chinese, san means 3. And these are your jiaos, these 3 containers in your body. And with the sanjiao, people will often associate the thyroid and the sexual organs. as part of fire element, as part of the sanjiao, and part of the organs and glands associated with that. So each one of those has a meridian. Now the thyroid does not have a particular meridian, and your sexual organs don't have a particular meridian, but your heart, your pericardium, your sanjiao, and your small intestine all have specific meridians that are associated with those organs. The meridians are channels of energy that even Western science can measure. And this is where qi flows in our body. It's separate from our veins. Now, each element also has a time of day, a color associated with it, and emotion associated with it, a direction, a flavor, a taste, a smell, all these things. It's so cool. So I'll give you a guess. What do you think the color is associated with fire? Red. Very good. And in terms of emotion, think of fire. What emotions do you associate with fire? I'll give you one. Joy. So the fire element can be very joyful and bring people together to share. Think of heart. Think of passion. This can also be part of the fire element. All right, let's move on to our other element because we have 4 more to get through. All right, next element I'd like to speak to is Earth, Pachamama, this beautiful planet we're living on. The Earth element is very much about grounding, owning your boundaries. Now, the Earth element is associated to 2 organs, the spleen and the stomach. Each element has yin and yang organs associated with them. Can you guess the color? Yellow is the color. Can you guess the emotion associated with it? This is important. So there will be an emotion that's out of balance, that's associated to different organs. And in the case of the earth element, stomach and spleen, if that's out of balance, we may feel more worry. We may have looser boundaries and lose ourselves in caring for others. So that's a hint around the earth. Next, let's move to metal. So think of metal. I like to think of metal being in the earth as elements, metals in the earth like gold and silver, things that are in the earth already. And I also like to think of a sword, like in martial arts. I used to do martial arts, and I would do some forms with actually I was using a staff at that time, not a sword, but some people do it with a sword. And I was a belly dancer, and I would do sword dances and balance swords on my head and my shoulder and my elbow and my hips and do really cool things with swords. And so that got me closer to working with the metal element. The metal element is associated with lungs and large intestine, or lungs and large intestine are associated to the metal element. And with the pandemic right now, a lot of people are focusing on lungs. And in my first book, Holistic Keto for Gut Health, I focus quite a bit on the colon and the small intestine, your large intestine as well, so which is the colon. Now, emotions associated with lungs and large intestine is grief, sadness. And for large intestine, it can be letting go. Think of pooping. You're letting go. And if those are out of balance, if you're not able to express sadness or grief well, then it can cause lung and large intestine issues. And there are body parts. I forgot to tell you this. There are body parts associated to each organ as well. And guess what? Body part is associated to lung and large intestine, the skin. The skin. So if you have skin stuff, you might have unresolved things with your lungs and your large intestine. And the color associated with lungs and large intestine with the metal element is white. Let's move to kidneys. Kidneys are so cool. All right, kidneys in Asia, water element. Water element. Water element. What are the organs associated with the water element? Kidneys and your urinary bladder. And guess what the emotion out of balance is for kidneys. The water element, kidneys and bladder. What is the emotion out of balance? It's fear. And there's a lot of fear going on right now with this pandemic. And it can really be draining our water element, our vital life force energy. So be mindful of where you're putting your attention and your consciousness, because it really can impact your kidney energy, your bladder energy, the meridians associated with that, and your overall water element, the balance of water in your body. And we're made up of almost 75% water at any given moment. This element is so predominant inside of us. And take a moment and think about the water element and how it goes with the flow. I live right on a river, and I watch every day this water. It doesn't look back and shame itself or guilt trip itself for going over that branch or moving that rock. It flows, and it just keeps going. It chooses the path of least resistance. How are you with your water element and your choices in discernment? Are you guilt-tripping yourself for the past? Are you moving in the direction of least resistance in your life towards joy, towards fulfillment, towards fulfilling your purpose and sharing your passions on the planet with all of us? So connecting to water element, super powerful. All right, last element is wood, and then I'll talk to you a little bit more about how they all connect, is the wood element. Hello. Nikolai is here, Leslyn's here. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining. The wood element. Think about wood. Think about a tree. Think about the bark on the tree and how it's protective. It protects the tree from bugs and fires. And think about this incredible wisdom in the seed of a tree. Connect to the wood element. This seed that the tree began from is deep in the ground, and it is pitch black underground, dark, dark, dark black. And yet this seed has wisdom to understand how to grow up, in which direction to grow up towards the sun, and in which direction to bury its roots even deeper and search for food, for water. We all have the wisdom of the wood element inside of us. The discerning ability to find the light, to grow towards the light. Very important. Now, what are the organs associated with the wood element? Liver and gallbladder. And what's the color? Can you guess? Oh, I forgot the color of the water too. I'll tell you that in a second. So color of wood element is green. Think of trees. The color of the water element, just to go back and share that with you, is dark, dark blue. Okay. The organs associated with wood are liver and gallbladder. The emotion, when out of balance, is anger, frustration, resentment. Now, if anger is felt in a healthy way and expressed in a healthy way, it won't accumulate in the tissues. It won't stress the liver if it's dealt with properly. But if it's not, or if you have an imbalance in your liver and gallbladder, it can cause a flare-up of rage and frustration and jealousy and anger. Yuck. It can feel yucky and be scary even to people around you. It can also cause physical symptoms in your body. So we want to work with our emotions in a really healthy, balanced way. And as we understand the 5 elements, we can begin to understand how they relate to each other. So in Asian medicine, it's not separate. Everything is connecting and working together. And these 5 elements flow together. So they flow together to feed each other, and they control each other like checks and balances, so not one gets out of control. Now, if there's a significant imbalance, then they will get out of balance, and you'll need some help, maybe some acupuncture, Chinese herbs, Tui Na, which is meridian massage work, to help things get back in balance. Tai Chi, Qigong, these all can help you get back into balance, being out in nature. So just very briefly, let's talk about how they feed and control each other. All right, so let's start with the control cycle. So the control cycle. Fire controls wood because it can burn it down. Wood controls earth because it sinks its roots into it and can hold on to it. Earth controls water as if the sides, the bank of a river house it. The earth helps control the water where it's going. Water controls fire because it can put it out. And metal controls wood. Sorry, I messed up fire and wood. I apologize. Metal controls wood because it can chop it down. Fire controls metal because it can melt it. So this is the control cycle in Asian medicine. There is also that's called the co-cycle. There is also a feeding cycle, how water feeds wood. Think of watering a tree or a plant. Wood feeds fire. Think of how you would feed a fire with wood. Fire, things that have burnt down, feeds the earth. The nutrients, the nitrogen goes back into the earth. And earth feeds metal because the metal is in the earth. And so the earth is constantly feeding it. And there's another one. Each organ within each five elements are paired organs. They're like brothers and sisters, and they work together. So I spoke about that already, whereas in kidney, the bladder and the kidney and bladder work together. In wood, liver, gallbladder work together. In fire, we have small intestine and heart and pericardium and Sanjiao working together. In earth, we have spleen and stomach working together. In metal, we have lung and large intestine working together. So the five elements can go out of balance in many different ways. And we want to keep those in balance. It's super important. But I just wanted to give you a little introduction to five elements. I offer 5-element embodiment practices and working with Chinese Asian medicine and all sorts of ways to bring the 5 elements into your life and to look at the balance in your environment, like feng shui, or when you're working on a dream board. There are ways to interpret it according to the 5 elements. There's ways to work with your physical body. And for example, the water element is associated to organs, but the body part are your bones. So if you're having issues with your bones, we can look at the water element and the flow and nourishing that and what's going on in a deeper way and how to work with all of the elements to help feed and control and balance each other. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to learn more, I'm at guthappyketo.com. I have many blogs and recipes for free right now on my website. And I'm getting ready to launch this week, I'm very excited, a very special consultation for people that are interested in really upgrading their life, their body, their health, their nutrition, their mindset, especially during the time of this pandemic when we are at home isolating. And we're just getting ready to possibly emerge. In some states in the United States and around the world, there is some talk in the next several weeks to a month of things starting to shift where we're coming back out and meeting with each other again in person. And so to prepare you for that, I'm offering a really special consultation so that you emerge from this pandemic stronger, healthier, and happier than when it began. And I will be announcing this week, so stay tuned. And I look forward to seeing you very soon. Be well, many blessings, and thank you for joining me. Bye for now.